Hello, so I recently watched two Don Hertzfeldt films, World of Tomorrow and It's Such a Beautiful Day, which are both on Netflix and are both completely stunning in my opinion, so if you haven't seen them, I highly recommend you watch them. I'm not going to be directly spoiling anything in this review. I'm mostly going to be discussing and comparing these two films while also giving my thoughts on some scenes and reviewing them. So if you want everything about these movies to remain a surprise, I suggest you don't watch this video. So first off, the similarities between these two films are their atmospheres and their art style. Their premises aren't similar, but both films are incredibly complex with themes and allowing of open interpretation. The drawings are very simple, like something a child would draw, which contrasts with the concepts shown in the films. His work focuses on the story, sensory, and the delivery and is more for the ears and less for the eyes. Both of the films focus on narration and the perspectives of one of the characters, and both films deal with issues like death and identity, but in different ways. The narrative style is interesting because it doesn't speak of emotions or feelings that much. It's rather blatant and straightforward, pretty much just showing us the outside of the characters and what they are going through. I really like that he does this because I feel like everybody that watches this movie can have their own ideas about what the point of the story is or what is actually happening to this character. With both of these films, it's unclear of what the director intended. There's no message shoved in your face, it's completely up for you to decide. Another thing I liked about these films is that it felt like you were on the journey with the characters. I didn't have any idea where the story would take me in the next couple minutes. I didn't know if there was going to be a twist, or if this is where the movie was going to end, or if something great was going to happen. It felt very unpredictable. Both of these films have very dry humor, which I love. To be honest, if the director didn't poke fun at some of the concepts, I would probably be crying the whole time. It's got underlying emotion that you have to search for, and it will leave this unsettled feeling in your stomach, and it's very pretentious to say, but these are like movies that you just want to contemplate about after you finish watching them. The first one I'm going to talk about is the most recent one, which was released in the spring of 2015 and is called World of Tomorrow, and it's only 17 minutes long, so it's a short film, and it almost feels like a peek into this world that humans, the emotional creatures we are, can never really fit into. The film establishes a beautiful, detailed, and mechanical sci-fi world, which we see through the eyes of young Emily and her clone, which contacts her from 227 years in the future.
Hello, Emily.
In this future, many people exist with a digital consciousness which extends people's lives for hundreds of years in this computerized database called the Outernet. Or they can be turned into animatronic robots or just be shot into space. Time travel also exists, which allows Emily and her future clone to explore this future world, much unlike our own. The perspective in this short film is interesting. The main character is Emily, a 3-year-old girl with a short attention span, and because she is so young, she has an inability to grasp certain concepts explained to her by her future clone, Emily. I thought of this as a plot device because although Emily is just a toddler, we are essentially at her same level of understanding of this future society. Emily and future Emily were very peculiar, and their voice actresses did a really good job at bringing these characters to life. Young Emily's voice is super cute, and she actually talks like a child, like stumbling and messing up on her words.
There's something in my museum, and they don't move. And I hear somebody talking a lot.
The way she spoke was so random and childlike, and it really made the story interesting. Although there wasn't much she could really add, she felt like more than just a clueless child. In this film, we also learn about future Emily's past and how she fell in love with many inanimate objects, which, not a large amount of people can relate to falling in love with rocks. But I think this exposed an interesting aspect of human nature. Humans have the ability to see potential in everything and also sympathize strangely with certain things that might remind us of ourselves or of something we love. We also fall in love with the idea of something sometimes more than the object or person themselves. A majority of us don't like to be alone, so we will try to find the slightest company or relation in anything we can. I found it interesting to see these qualities in a character because it is something that I'm aware of and a lot of people are aware of, but it's a weird thing to see portrayed. But when I see Emily struggle with this, I feel like I can understand her, and I think that is completely beautiful on the director's part. I also think this is sort of the direction we're going in as a society. Our lives are becoming more digital and sort of oriented for convenience, which a lot of the convenience is on the internet, which can often lead us to isolation. The background animations are very colorful and varied in this film. In It's Such a Beautiful Day, it mostly sticks to black and white. I love how the setting is shown in World of Tomorrow. We're traveling with these characters and looking into their memories, and although the animation is not super detailed, each scene looks distinct and memorable. My favorite quote from World of Tomorrow is when future Emily said, "When the night is most quiet, I can hear death. I am very proud of my sadness because it means I am more alive."
The person greeted Bill as Bill mixed up the phrases, "What's up?" with "How's it going?" Confused, the person blurted out, "Thanks," before he knew what he was saying. Words caught in Bill's throat, and he replied, "Way." They did a sorta awkward half-turn, and then continued on, now confident that the other was not going to stop to talk.
It's Such a Beautiful Day came out in 2012 and is a drama and comedy. In this movie, we are following Bill, who seems like your average guy at first. Through the movie, we slowly see his mental state deteriorate and he suffers from some unnamed illness. We watch Bill from another person's perspective. It is narrated completely by Don Hertzfeldt and his soothing voice. And he makes us aware of everything Bill is experiencing, but not how Bill feels about it himself. It leaves a mystery about what's really going on in Bill's mind. This movie, unlike World of Tomorrow, isn't covering a lot of events or focusing on compelling circumstances. It focuses mainly on Bill's day-to-day life and the patterns and repetitions, as well as the quirkiness and awkward instances that we all try to forget about. It's Such a Beautiful Day is separated into 3 chapters, and each can stand separately, but I definitely suggest watching them together. The soundtrack is very classical and beautiful, creating a sad but whimsical ambience. The film also uses a lot of recordings of nature, scenery, and backgrounds, sometimes placing the characters in them, and this makes the visuals look really surreal. What I took from this film is that there's still a lot we don't know about the human mind when it comes to things like depression and memory loss and other illnesses. And once you go down this path, even if you do get better, it's something that never really leaves you. The film also focuses on the pattern of life and how most of us have similar goals, like to get married, or to have kids, or to travel, or to find people we can surround ourselves with. I thought Bill showed the collective goals most of us have as humans. Bill is exceptional in a way, but he also wants the same things over and over. Through the entirety of the human existence, we search for the same things as each generation comes, and given the chance to live forever, we would probably continue in this endless cycle of trying to get what we want, maintaining what we want, and then losing what we want, and then having this sadness, and then repeating it over and over again. And we will try to find this balance of happiness, but I don't think it can ever be completely fulfilled for us. The sound design was also great in both of the films. It added this dreamlike or experimental vibe whenever noise or outdoor sounds were used. When it comes to reviewing these films, I think it really has to do with personal preference. I didn't really find any major flaws. I did like World of Tomorrow a bit better because I felt it was a bit more interactive and I really love sci-fi. The backgrounds were also more embellished in World of Tomorrow than in It's Such a Beautiful Day, making it a bit more entertaining to watch. It's Such a Beautiful Day wasn't boring to me by any means, but at certain points I did feel slightly, and only slightly, unstimulated. But this is barely something that bothered me. If I had to rate them, I would probably give It's Such a Beautiful Day an 8 and World of Tomorrow a 9. If you like films with unique concepts that are just aesthetically weird, I definitely suggest that you check this out because I can confidently say I haven't seen anything like these movies. Another thing is that these movies are completely inspiring if you want to get into a similar field, because both of them were made almost completely by Don Hertzfeldt himself. He animated them, he narrated for them, he wrote and he directed it, and I think it shows that you don't need a lot of people to work on a movie. You don't need a lot of resources or money to make something beautiful that people can appreciate. I'm sorry if this seemed pretentious or like I was completely missing the point. I'm pretty new to reviewing things, but I really loved this and I just wanted to express that. Feel free to leave a comment and tell me your thoughts. You know, does crotch level fruit scare you?